What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to Down the Wire. I'm your host, Brian Costa, and today I've got a very special episode. With the start of the new year, we are gearing up for yet another baseball season, and I am excited to welcome on another member of the Bryant University baseball team. Last year, he was a member of the All-NEC second team, hitting .302 with 6 home runs and 23 RBIs over 45 games. Now this season, he and the Bulldogs will look to make their mark on a new conference as they begin their first season in the America East. So without any further ado, coming to us today from Port St. Lucie, Florida, please welcome to the show first baseman Carmine Petosa. Carmine, glad to have you here.
Hey, I'm glad to be here. This is a new experience for me. I've never had any interviews or podcasts outside the baseball field, so this is really cool.
Yeah, man, I'm glad to have you on. As I mentioned to you before the show, I'm pretty sure you're the first position player I've had on the show from the baseball team. Had a lot of pitchers, whether it be Tyler Madison, Christian Algaretti, Austin Wayner. Some of those guys have been great, so I'm really excited for this interview today. I like to start things off pretty similarly with a lot of athletes because I kind of want to know, the background, the roots, where you guys came from. I know you're originally from New Jersey, but take me through like your athletic background growing up and kind of how you got into baseball.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna take it a step back. I'm actually
Okay.
from Staten Island. I
Okay.
grew up in Staten Island, lived there for 8 years, then moved to Jersey, lived there until last year, and then now I'm in Florida. But for the whole baseball, upbringing, it was weird. Nobody in my family played. My dad, my mom, they didn't play any sports. But they just put a bat in my hand when I was younger, and it stuck with me ever since. And that's just how it's been. So it's a weird way of like how I got into it, but that's just it.
So there was like no one in your family that they just decided, hey, he'll play baseball, and you kind of just like picked it up.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, they put a bat in my hand, and we just went in the front yard and we would play catch and stuff. I did play football, but I didn't. I wasn't into that as much. So that's
Yeah.
probably when I really just decided to stick with baseball. But
Yeah.
yeah.
That's solid. So obviously, you get that bat in your hand at a young age. Was that, when you kind of really got into baseball, and I know football you mentioned as well. Was that something that you picked up? Was baseball something that you picked up rather naturally, or was it maybe something that, early on you kind of really had to put in a lot of hard work? I know that there are some kids that, just like they pick up a bat and can hit the ball a country mile, and then there are others where, they had to really grind to get where they were. What was probably your experience like?
Growing up, I felt that it came like more natural than anything, but to where I am now, from like high school years to like college years, it's definitely been a grind. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, growing up, it was all pretty natural.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, I know you said your parents weren't big on, your parents weren't, athletes much when you were growing up and, you were kind of just put in this situation. But once you really kind of got into the game, who were some individuals that really helped you grow at that early age? Like some,
Uh,
baseball mentors.
Obviously, like my dad and my mom, they're my biggest supporters. Also, my sister, she used to come to all my baseball games growing up. She never missed one. But yeah, no, them mostly. But I've had a few really good mentors, coaches, teammates along the way. Some really good high school coaches, some really good travel coaches. It's easy for a coach to get caught up in thinking about the money and not really thinking about the kid. But
Mhm.
fortunately, I've had enough good coaches where they really cared about their players and their progress and their success. So I was very fortunate in that
Yeah.
aspect.
That's awesome, man. So obviously you're at, you have some great individuals in that early part of your development. And, like, and from what you said, it came pretty naturally growing up. And I kind of have to wonder, some kids, like, it can be something that comes natural to them and they're like, oh shoot, like I'm doing pretty good at this. But it may come as a surprise like later on in their high school career or something when they start to realize, hey, I might have the potential to really I might have the ability to take my talents to the next level and play at that college level. When did you have that moment when you said, all right, I could probably play Division 1 baseball if I wanted to? When did that first start to become a thought in your mind?
Uh, in my mind, it just never really hit me where I was just like, wow, like I'm good enough to do this. I was always kind of like, humble in a sense where I was just like, I don't know, or like it was all in my own head where I just never thought that it would
Like you
actually
enjoyed doing it, but it was just like, who knows?
never, yeah, it never was a thought in my mind, at a young age and like growing up, like all my family members were like, oh, I can't wait to see you in pinstripes one day. And like, that grew on me a little more. But, when I first committed to, a college, I was just like, wow, this is surreal. Like I didn't really think about it until it happened. And then, yeah, so it wasn't really a thought, but it worked out. So.
Yeah. So obviously, then when did it start? Like, it probably took a while for it to become real for you. But when that college process started to originally, come into form, I know that you originally ended up committing to Wake Forest and you played there for a year. When did that start to, really take shape for you? And like, take me through that whole recruitment process.
Yeah, it was it happened really fast, I want to
Mhm.
say, because I committed uh my sophomore year in October. So it was the beginning of my sophomore year.
Wow.
It was either October or November, one of those, but it happened so fast. Freshman year was, one of my first years of like high school ball and like travel ball where it was just like, okay, now you're gonna start seeing people come out and, start seeing the emails of like all like the camps and all the scout days and all that stuff. So like that really, came and went. And then I played JV baseball my freshman year of high school. And I was just like, I was so lost. I was like, wow, like I'm not good enough to play varsity baseball. And then that next year, I ended up having a really good summer. And then bang, just like that, I was committed to Wake Forest. And I was just like, okay, I think we're good now.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
it
that's
happened so fast. It was such a quick turnaround. So like it was, the recruitment process, it happened, you know, all in a few months and that was it. First school that offered me, I took it and that was it.
Yeah, I mean, that's just gotta be a surreal experience. To go back to your sophomore year of high school to just imagine like, I mean, you're 15, 16 years old, that old at the time, and you're thinking like, all right, the next 4 years of my life, I got locked up. That's gotta be a crazy feeling. Cause I mean, I knew some kids that, committed like their junior year. And for me, that was like the earliest thing I could ever imagine. It was like, wow, like 2 years in advance, where you're going to school. And I remember I didn't end up pursuing athletics in college or anything like that. I didn't know where I was going until pretty close to the actual deadline of my senior year. And it was like, and like even
Mhm.
then, it felt like a long time between then and now. I mean, just take me through what it's like just knowing like that early on in your high school career. All right, it looks like my plan is set up for me.
Oh, it was really awesome. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie, because everyone, I was probably one of the first in my no, I
Yeah.
was the first. I was one of the first in my grade to commit to a school.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like everybody else was scrambling, but like I felt a sense where I was like a weight lifted. I
Yeah.
don't
It's
have
a
to worry
relief.
about it. Yeah, like all I could do is just go out and play and just have fun now. I don't have to worry about going to camps every other week or like stressing about when people are coming to see me. Like, am I gonna play good? Like, it was just really a relief and a weight off my shoulders. I was just like, I could go out, I can enjoy my, high school experience, play baseball, and just it was awesome. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's fantastic. I mean, I'm seeing that right now with some kids. I saw it with my brother because he was committed. I think he committed actually before the start of his senior year, is that's when the coach offered him his position at Assumption. And yeah, it's like even then it's just like it's just a different experience. Like, cause I mean, I remember that time in high school where everyone's picking out colleges and it's like, and everyone's just saying, like, where am I gonna go? And I mean, I know some high schoolers right now, like they still have no idea what their future is gonna be like. And then, you talk to those athletes and it's like, yeah, I've been locked up since the summer. It feels great.
Yeah.
Ah, that's gotta be one heck of a feeling. So I know obviously you ended up going to Wake Forest freshman year. You only had one at bat. It was a hit by pitch. Yeah, I did a little like looking on the Bryant website before that, so I knew a little bit of stuff there. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, so obviously you didn't get a ton of time your freshman year there. What was the experience like? And just take me through going to Wake Forest.
Well, first off, I loved it there.
Yeah,
If it was up to me, I'd stay there. but obviously things didn't work out. That one at bat was pretty early on in the season. And then I ended up getting hurt probably the weekend after that. We had a Miami series that we were getting ready to go. I had my plane ticket and everything, and then we had a practice, that the couple days before we, packed up and left. Ended up pulling my hamstring, and then I, sat out for a pretty long time. And then me and the coach decided that it was a good idea to like redshirt, so I didn't lose a year, which
Yeah.
was the best thing for me. But yeah, after that it was just I didn't have enough time to show them what I had and what I could potentially give to them. And things just didn't work out. So but it was a great experience. I got to see what ACC baseball was like. I met some really good guys, really good coaching staff. But things didn't work out, and I'm really happy where I landed now, though.
Yeah. So obviously you did end up deciding to transfer to Bryant. What led you to make that move, and like what really made Bryant seem appealing to you to make that transition?
It was honestly the coaching staff. Our coaches, they care about us. Our head coach is he's a really good guy. You wouldn't know it, but yeah, he's a really good dude. He's always got a smile on his face. He treats us, with the respect that we deserve, and it's a good homey feeling, especially when my parents were moving to Florida, and I was just like, oh wow. I mean, I could have a home away from home in Rhode Island, and it wouldn't feel any different. So it was really the coaching staff. Um, Pelletier, he reached out to me first, so that was a big thing. Him, we had a guy, H Bod last year. He was here for a few years. He was a assistant coach, and we really clung together. It was pretty cool to have that one guy that like I could really talk to and trust and all that good stuff. So it's really just the coaching staff. I didn't need anything else. I just needed a good coaching staff, and people who trusted me and people who wanted to give me a shot. So.
Yeah, I mean, they gave you that shot and you took full advantage of it last year. I mean, I mentioned your stats in your first year with the Bulldogs. You had an absolutely tremendous season. I gotta wonder so far, what have been some of your favorite memories with the Bulldogs? I mean, I saw that you had, walk-off home run, walk-off doubles, I'm sorry, the game-winning home runs rather. Just different, different like tons of, great achievements on the field. What of those have been some of your favorites?
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Those are all really good times. Aside from, just like the stuff that I did, seeing guys, because we had a lot of injuries last year, including myself.
Yeah.
But we spent a lot of time in the training room and just, rehabbing and stuff like that. And then seeing those guys come out and do what they love to do and do what they know how to do
Yeah.
and do it well. Those are all really special moments, like guys like Shane Kelly or
Mhm.
Stank or just all these guys who just have been hurt and coming out and doing what they do best, and those are really the special moments.
Yeah. I mean, you guys last year had a tremendous start to the season. You had that incredible series against East Carolina. You guys were ranked nationally at one point. I mean, take me through just that incredible start to the year. Like, how were emotions in that clubhouse at the time?
Oof, they were through the roof. I don't want to say what it was like going down there. Like obviously everyone was excited going down. They're like first game, like first home, like an opener, like we're
Yeah.
pumped, like everyone's like, this is great. And then we get there and we're practicing the night before, right when we get there. And the field was beautiful. And then, opening day comes out and then the stands were packed with all these ECU fans and we're getting heckled like I've never gotten heckled in my life before. And I was just like, oh my God, this
It's
is
like
unreal.
this is real.
Yeah, it was so cool. And like I loved every moment of it. And then, we took game one, it was a blowout. And then game two got a little more interesting, which is something you're probably never gonna see again.
Mhm.
Um, but that was insane. And then once game two came and we took that, we were just like, we could do this. Like this is awesome. And we ended up taking game three, sweeping them in their home park, and it was unreal. That's something I'll never forget.
Yeah. How was that ride back home? And
that ride was it gives me chills now. Like I'm just thinking about it. Like it's something you have to be there. You just
Mhm.
have to be there.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, I was watching those games on ESPN Plus when it was going down, and I mean, not shocked, but it was just like I couldn't believe like the amount of success that you guys had down there. It was awesome to see, and really had a lot of people, I think, just really excited for for that team that year. Um, it definitely was a great year for you guys. I know you guys ended up finishing second in the standings when you guys were predicted to finish first. LIU ended up beating you out there. Um, but just to be able to go from having that injury your freshman year to the tremendous success at the D1 level sophomore year, how good did that feel for you?
Oh, it felt great. It was basically like my freshman year because, again, I
Yeah,
had that one at bat, but I didn't really get any playing time, when before I got hurt. So, I mean, last year was kind of like my freshman year. So it was like really, really cool to have and know that, like, that was my first year of college baseball, like played
mm,
a full season, and to know that that was kind of like how it is, like I'm really excited for the next, 3 year, however many years I have left.
yeah. I mean, I'm really excited for you guys as well. I mean, it's definitely gonna be an interesting. It's gonna definitely be a lot more interesting now as you guys are leaving the NEC, heading to the America East. I know that's gonna be just a new level of competition. I remember when I talked with with guys like Wayner and those guys, they had mentioned that they believe that they're ready to take on that competition and that they're ready to go for it. How do you feel as you guys enter that new conference?
Oh, I'm excited. It's fun because you get to see new faces, new arms, new players, all this stuff. Get to form new rivalries. Like it's exciting. And I like the other guy said, I think we're ready for it. We got a bunch of new guys, bunch of freshmen who could play, bunch of transfers who could play. Like we gotta like we're pretty deep, and I think that we'll be, just fine, if not, pretty close to, being number one, top two, top three. So I'm pretty excited about it.
No, that's fantastic. I mean, it's got to be just. I mean, heading off to that new conference, it's definitely like you said, it's a lot of great new competition. Being able to face those guys, um, just trying to think here. It definitely is. It's definitely some great competition. But what are some if there was one thing that you would want to personally achieve next year, what would that be?
Oof. I would just have to say stay healthy, stay as healthy as possible, get deep into the season. I had a couple hiccups over, the course of last season.
Sure.
Um, so I would just, stay as healthy as possible. That's all I really want for me. Um, but yeah, I think that that could be easily attainable as, long as I keep doing what I have to do, in the training room, in the weight room, just everything I'm doing. So I think that's all for me.
Mhm. I mean, being able to go through that, training process and being able to be in the weight room here and go through the training at a D1 facility and be in that be at the Condy Indoor Center and do things there. I think I've heard some people they referred to like the Bryant facilities here as I think they've said what is it, the Ritz-Carlton of Northeast baseball is what
Yeah,
I've heard. That
I
that
heard
that
that. Yeah.
I've heard that before. I mean, if you could have gone back and just and like before you knew all like the luxuries that you had here, what is one
Mhm.
thing that you probably would have told your younger self and to get you ready, more for this situation?
More for what situation?
Like baseball and just in general, like to get yourself ready. Like,
I would probably say, just keep my head down, put my head in the dirt and just work. That's it. Because at the end of the day, your success is based on your work. And if, you put in a lot, you're gonna have a lot of success. If you don't put any, you're not gonna have any success. So I would just tell my younger self, especially have fun with it though. Like enjoy it, look up once in a while, take your head out of the dirt once in a while and see
yeah,
where you are and stuff, and but don't get too caught up in all the good that you've done, but look up once in a while.
yeah, nah, that makes sense. I mean, I know you talked about being humble and maybe not being able to you know not necessarily not paying attention, but maybe overlooking some of the successes. So I think that is important too. I mean, you're here for what is it like only 4 or 5 years for this college experience. You want to make the most of it that you
Oh
can.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, That's definitely what you want to do here. So I know
Mhm.
that, you had good success last year. We talked about the adjustment for the team in general heading to the America East. Regardless of how things go this year, what is I guess trying to think, what would be just like the best possible outcome for this team this year? What do you guys think is your ceiling?
We going to a regional. That's what we think. We fell short last year. Um, we got drained, and
Mhm.
I think that we have a lot more. Like I said, we're deep. We're deep in guys, deep in pitching, deep in position guys who we could just pull off the bench at any time, and it would be as good as anybody else. So, I feel like we could definitely win this conference, make it to a regional, and I think that that could be our ceiling, and it just depends on how much we work. We had a really good fall. A lot of the guys really like people who weren't as showing up last year are showing up now. And I think it's really cool to see some of those guys and their success and the work that they put in is paying off. And I think it'll be a really good and really fun year. So
Mhm. Out of those guys that are really putting in that work in the fall, who who is probably I mean, let me rephrase that, sorry. But yeah, I obviously there are tons of guys putting in work in the fall, getting ready for this year. And I know that, within a team that you're always going to have a brotherhood with every guy in that room. But for
mm,
you, if there was one guy that you could really say, "Hey, that guy is my guy," like that's my dude. Like who
mm.
is that? Who's probably that guy on that team for you?
Who is that guy for me? I don't. It's tough to say because I don't really close myself off to just one guy.
Sure.
So it's not like it's always been weird. I've been like that my whole life. Like I don't have like one guy I could call up today and be like, hey, like whatever. I don't have that guy, but I have guys
Yeah.
that I can do that with, and it's not just one. But what I could say is all the guys in my room that we were all transfers except for one kid.
Wow.
So everybody did, we did it together. We transferred in together, and we grew together, and it's kind of cool to see like all the progress we made, and it's those are the guys that like I would base myself with.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that's becoming really prevalent throughout college, just in general now, is the whole transfer portal and everything that's going on with that. We were seeing it a lot right now with the Bryant University basketball team where they're really
Mhm,
transfer heavy, and we're seeing them be able to continue the success that they had from last year into this year.
mhm.
Just take me through what it's like just the entire transfer portal in general, like being able to, really see these teams, completely change their identity within the course of a season.
Oh, it's crazy. I mean, COVID kind of expanded that whole transfer portal thing. Um, it's kind of cool because like when I was in it, you get to see like it's like being in high school again. I mean, like I said, I got one offer and I took it,
Mhm.
but it would for me, it was like if I was going to be in high school again, where you're getting emails from coaches and teams and stuff like that, and you're just like, oh my god, like this is so cool. But outside of yourself being in the transfer portal, I think it's crazy that like you can literally just take a team and just rebrand it any way you want. And it's cool. It is cool, but you also want to build with the guys that you recruited from day one. And but again, it's a competitive sport, as all sports are. So that competition, when you bring somebody in and you're not that transfer or you are that transfer, it's a good competitive atmosphere, and I think that it brings a lot of good to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is something that you see a lot of where I've seen this a lot with it kind of goes both ways with the transfer portal because there's like you'll sometimes see, kids at like maybe lower division schools or just like schools that aren't of, higher caliber to where maybe you see a D2 kid really explode at that level and say, "All right, I'm going to take my talents to Division 1," and
Yeah.
they transfer up to that level. But then you also see it, to make another reference to Bryant basketball, you see it with kids that went to other programs, maybe didn't get the opportunities that they wanted there and say, all right, I'm going to go I'm going to take words from the ESPN broadcast that they said last night. They're going to go down a level in a sense and
Mm.
be able to, go down to, Bryant basketball, which, in the Northeast is probably, in a very difficult spot because you're facing off against teams like PC, URI, all those,
Yeah.
juggernauts, and they can go there and they can make a competitive team. It's really interesting the fact that it's not just limited to, a one way street where guys are going up and down, where guys are just going up.
Mhm.
You can also see guys in a sense go down a level, really boost their stats. And for pro teams, like that's what they like in a sense, like that's what they're looking for. If you're riding the bench, like let's say, for a basketball team, if you're riding the bench at Villanova and it's just like, yeah, but I'm at Villanova, no one cares. But if you're to
Yeah,
come
it
to
doesn't
Bryant
matter.
and but if you were to come to a school like Bryant and average 25 points per game, people are going to pay attention to that.
Exactly, 100%. I think it's like I said, it's a good thing, and it's a smart thing. If you just put kind of like your ego aside a little bit and say, hey, look, am I gonna play here? Am I gonna do something here or not? And you got to
Yeah.
make that decision on your own, and it's totally up to you. And I think it's a great thing.
No, I think it is too. And it's interesting that, some coaches have completely different outlooks on it. I know Tom Izzo, just staying with basketball over at Michigan State. Um, he he's pretty, I don't think he's necessarily as in favor of the transfer portal as other guys. Like he kind of has the mentality of, well, stick it out. Some guys didn't play here their freshman year and now they're in the NBA. Like for some people that might be the case and maybe this is the right place for them, but other times like you said, like we can people can go to a school and realize this isn't the fit for me. I'm going to go somewhere else and try to see if I can have more success there.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, it's a great thing, and it's going to be around for as long as possible, I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
COVID opened the doors up, and that was it. So,
Yeah. To kind of go off COVID, I know that you didn't have to deal with it necessarily in college. I've talked with a lot of athletes that have, and they talked about all the protocols, all the things going on there. That was more for something, in high school. I know that there was a little bit for you in college, but take me through what that experience was like having to go from really strict COVID protocols back in high school to, the loosening up and getting back to normalcy now.
well, I didn't have half my senior year,
Yeah.
so it was awful. Like
Yeah.
we thought, once we first heard about it, we were like, whatever. We were at
Yeah.
practice that day. We were just like, "Yeah, whatever, whatever. We'll have 2 weeks off. It's fine." And we were like, our bodies are hurting anyway. We could use the week off. And then, looking back at it, and they were just like, school's canceled, and things started snowballing, and we were just like, oh, damn, like what are we gonna do? Like this was our senior year. Like we don't get a senior year anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I remember I sat at the field that night and I was just like, damn, like I'm never gonna play on this field again. And I actually just sat there and I cried and I was like, I didn't think it meant that much to me, but I guess, it just came to me and I was like, it meant a lot. But like after all that and you head to college and I think, yeah, my freshman year was kind of bad in the sense because we were getting written up left and right because we weren't allowed to hang out with like our teammates. It was weird, but we were practicing together, but the school was being weird about it. But it is what it is. I mean,
Yeah.
it's good to get back to like, normalcy and but there's always gonna be something and there's always, some hurdle you gotta get over and we all did it. So
Yeah.
it's it's good to be, normal again though.
Yeah.
So
It's always interesting to hear different people's perspective on it because I've talked with other athletes where they were gearing up literally, they were probably like hours away from going into a game, and all of a sudden the coach just comes in the locker room and just says, "Hey guys, the season's over," and they're like, "The season hasn't even begun yet. What are you talking
yeah,
about?" And
exactly.
yeah, like it's something that was crazy to me when it happened, and just hearing everyone's different experiences on it is really impactful. So I thank
Yeah.
you for sharing that. Um, Trying to really kind of just think, as we do move on and, you know, I don't know, make our way into, towards the end of this episode. I usually ask this question to a lot of the athletes on here, and it's a matter of the fact that, you know, baseball, whatever sport you play, it's not going to last forever. Eventually, this does come to an end. I know your family was talking about seeing you in pinstripes. You'd have to probably get a clean shave, unfortunately,
Yeah,
before you
yeah.
did that.
Mhm.
But after college, what are some goals for you?
It's funny you brought that up. I was talking to one of my roommates at Wake. He actually transferred out too. He's a really good friend of mine. We were just, talking yesterday, and we were just like, what happens when this is all over? And then we both just, kind of looked at each other. We were just like, we don't have to know yet. Like
Yeah.
we're still young, and it's kind of good that we don't know,
Mhm.
because if you did, you can't put all your eggs in one basket. And it's just, we were just talking about it, and we were just like, we don't know what we want to do, and I don't know what I want to do, but I'm glad I don't, because something hasn't inspired me enough, other than, baseball, but something hasn't really like sparked me where I was like, you know what, I want to do that. So
Yeah.
I don't really have any, set plans. There's some things left and right here and there that I'm like, I could see myself doing, but no set things. I'm just kind of go with the flow. And, if something sparks my interest, I'm like, yeah, I'll do that, or I want to do that. But I don't really have that much of a set plan yet.
Yeah. I know that there have been some, I know that, some of your teammates that I've interviewed on this show, they've had aspirations to, pursue pro ball. Is that something that you're trying to do after college as well?
Oh, 100%, 100%. That's, that was, the first goal was, to get to a college. And then, once I got to a college, what's the next goal? The next goal is to go pro. Next goal is to get drafted. And, this is a really important year for, all of the junior classes, so I'm excited for it. But yeah, no, the goal is to get out of school and, make some money along the way, with this game. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I wish you the best of luck with that.
Appreciate it.
Unfortunately, Carmine, we are now down to the wire, which means that we're going to wrap up what we talked about in this episode and send you guys on your way. Obviously, Carmine, thank you so much for coming on this episode. It's been a blast getting a chance to talk with you. We talked with him about his baseball background, his time at Wake Forest, transferring over to Bryant, and where he is now. Carmine, once again, thank you so much.
No, I appreciate you having me. This is a really fun experience. I hope that I get to have a couple more of these in the future, whether it's with you or with anybody else. But no, this was really cool.
Yeah, absolutely, man. All right. Before we do end up going, I just want to say if you guys aren't following Down the Wire at this point, make sure you guys follow us on all our streaming platforms. We're available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and more. You can also watch the video stream to this show on YouTube, and you can find all of those links in our Instagram bio at down.to-the-wire. Um, Finally, before we go, thank you guys so much for tuning in the episode. It's been a great time. And from Down the Wire, I'm Brian Costa.
And I'm Carmine Petosa.
We hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Take care and peace out.